Well, hello everyone. I'm Glenesha. I'm with Family Network on Disabilities, and I am back for another presentation. I'm extremely excited because this is one of our new webinars. This is my first time sharing this webinar with you, and I'm a little bit nervous, so I hope you all will be here with me and guide me through it. But let's go ahead and get started. Today, we are going to talk about what the move from elementary school to middle school looks like for students who need extra support. This is a big change. Think about it. You're transitioning from elementary school to middle school. I remember my transition, and with transition, you gain a little bit more responsibility. I was very nervous about going from being in one classroom all day, with the exception of going to special area art, music, and PE to having two teachers and transitioning between two classes and also going to music, art, and PE. It turned out fine. It was a good transition for me. Middle school was difficult for me, but the transitioning to classes and having multiple teachers, that was way easy. But I'm really, really glad the way my school did it by giving us two teachers and then transitioning between two classes. So by the time we were in seventh grade, we were ready for those eight classes, I believe, that we had. So as I said, this is a big change, and it's normal for families and students to feel unsure at first. Middle school comes with new teachers, new expectations, and new routines. But with the right preparation, students can feel confident and ready. And the key word is preparation. In this training, we will walk through each part of the educational transition so you can understand what is happening and how you can support your child every step of the way. So, welcome once again. I'm Glenesha, and I have been with Family Network on Disabilities for 2.5 years, almost 3 years. And I am so thankful to be one of their parent trainers. We are doing good work in the community, and I am from Florida. I live in Bay County, and I support 11 counties across the panhandle. And it just warms my heart to be able to help families have the resources that they need to be able to move forward in life living with disability and having children living with disability. So before we get started, I want to share with you who we are at FND. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. That means we don't work for local, state, or federal agencies or schools. We are funded in part by the U.S. Department of Health and the U.S. Department of Education. We are a free service because of our grants. And we just got our grant for another 5 years. So we will be here sharing our information. We are known as the statewide Parent Training Information Center and the statewide Family to Family Health Information Center. We are family driven. We were founded in 1985 by parents of children with disabilities who came together for mutual support and sharing of information. FND is a national network for individuals of all ages who may be at risk, have disabilities, or have special needs and their families. We also serve professionals and concerned citizens. F&B is unique due to the majority of our board members, management staff, and all field staff have family members who are persons living with disabilities or they are living with a disability themselves. And I have both. I have family member who has a disability, and then I have a disability myself. And that's one of the things that I love about this job is my managers, my directors, my coworkers are understanding of the challenges that I face living with rheumatoid arthritis. And they always want to make sure that I am accommodated. And that's why I work so hard for my families as well, too. And so now let's go ahead and dive right into our disclaimer, what we do and what we don't. I wear many hats in my day-to-day life. I am an entrepreneur. I own two businesses. I am a phlebotomy instructor, so I am a medical professional. I am a teacher. I have a teacher certification. But it's very important that you understand that each time I come before you, I am a parent training coordinator. So that means I am not an attorney. We are not doctors. We are not mental health professionals. The following information we give is not legal or medical advice. However, we do share resources and supports for you and your family. Information is research based to create our trainings, and we always encourage collaboration with schools and agencies. I do that because if we open up our little house, our child is in the middle. They are the greater good. And so we have to remember that when we're trying to solve conflict and work together as a team. So navigating the middle school transition. This is a lot. The educational transition into middle school often feels like stepping into a brand new world. And in some areas and cases, it is a brand new world. Some students have to go to middle school in a different city. Some students, maybe military families, or they move every couple of years because a parent's job, they actually say, okay, you're going to finish elementary school here, and then you're going to move to a middle school in a different city. This happened to me. I was still in elementary school, but we moved back from Germany in between my third and fourth grade year. I started fourth grade in Germany, and I remember my teacher, but then we moved back to Panama City, and I had fourth grade teachers at Tyndall Elementary. It's now Tyndall Academy, and I had my first male teacher. I just thought the world was over. I did not want to have a male teacher, but he ended up being one of the best teachers I ever had. He saw me, and I'm so thankful for that. So, with this transition, your students are going to now move from class to class, meet several teachers, and are expected to keep track of more responsibilities than before. Some students may feel excited about new opportunities, others may feel nervous, overwhelmed, or unsure about all the changes ahead. These reactions are completely normal. During this stage, students are learning how to manage their time, organize their materials, and adjust to a faster pace. With steady support and clear routines, students can learn to handle these new challenges with more confidence. So, preparing for school visits. This is great. Visiting the school before classes start can greatly reduce stress. Walking the hallways, finding classrooms, and even practicing locker combinations help students feel more confident. I remember doing this as a student. And then I remember as a teacher, I was the music teacher in Escambia County at Warrenton Elementary School for 5 years. And we had our open house, but it was the open house before school actually started. And then in September, we had the official open house. The families could come and they could meet their teacher, meet their special area teachers like myself in art and PE, and just kind of get some of that nervousness out. And I really enjoyed it because it got some of the nervousness out for me as well. Because even though I am a veteran teacher, I was a young teacher then, and I still got nervous about the first day of school, the first week of school. And so it's very important to make sure that we do those prepared school visits when they are offered. Meeting teachers and support staff ahead of time builds comfort and helps students see familiar faces during the first week. These simple steps help make the school feel like a place where they belong from day one. Why early planning matters. Preparation is so important. I just did a video on emergency care plans. And I said in the video, preparation for anything is important. We don't want to prepare when the emergency happens. We don't want to prepare when we have to execute whatever our responsibility is. We want to have it already prepared. Planning early makes everything smoother. For most students, starting conversations around age 12 gives them time to understand what middle school will look like. You can talk about things like where the lockers will be, how to move between classrooms, or how lunch routines work. When students have a chance to picture what their day will look like, the educational transition feels less scary. Early planning also gives families time to practice new habits, such as using a planner, setting reminders, or organizing school materials. These simple steps can help students feel prepared long before the first day. And I think it's really good if parents try to incorporate this in day to day life. Maybe when their child is in fifth grade, or when their child, again, in the summer before they go to middle school, age 12 or so. Some children are a little bit younger. But I've noticed that when families incorporate things in day to day life, and don't make it an event like we're going to start doing this or I want to tell you about this, it really reduces the nerves. And again, I'm not a medical provider. I am just coming to you as somebody who has worked with a lot of families, who was a child herself and a teacher as well. And so I have learned that incorporating things in your day to day life can really reduce nervousness and anxiety. So, next, let's discuss understanding self determination. Self determination is an important skill for middle school. It means knowing your strengths, noticing your challenges, and speaking up when you need something. These skills help students take part in their own learning instead of waiting for adults to guide every step. A student might say, I need more help understanding this, Or can I sit closer so I can see better? These small requests show growth. Students don't need to learn these skills overnight. They need to learn them through practice, encouragement, and chances to try again when things don't go perfectly. Middle school is a great time to build these abilities. And I try to be encouraging to my church children because I don't have children of my own, or anytime I'm around children, and even my adult phlebotomy students. I sit patiently and I say, I'm here, I'm listening. What do you need help with? And I learned to be patient because I remember when I was in their position and there was a lot of nervousness. I was afraid to ask questions sometimes, but you want to teach your child early to be a cheerleader and champion for themselves. There are going to be lots of people out there who are just waiting to help your child. But then there may be times when your child doesn't have a resource and they have to learn to govern their own emotions and they have to find the resources themselves. And you, as a parent, want to do your best to prepare them for when that day comes. And so, with these preparations for understanding self determinations, I just want to quickly give you the points. Know yourself. So, help your child learn who they are. Do little activities over the summer so they can learn who they are. Make choices. Give your child small responsibilities to prepare them and give them different activities for them to do in their way. Give them an activity, let's say, create a plan for lunch. What is going to be your lunch for the week? They can sit down, they can make their plan for lunch, and then you can help them make any changes. And then speaking up. Teach them how to respectfully speak up for themselves. This will take them a very, very long way because once they have graduated, they've got diploma in hand, and they are at the age of majority. And in Florida, this is 22. Excuse me. In Florida, this is 18 for age of majority. Some of our students go to school until 22 before they get their high school diploma. But once those two things happen, if you don't have guardianship for your child, they are going to have to be their own cheerleaders. And you want to teach them now how to be a champion for themselves. I'll give you an example. So I am 41, but I do live with rheumatoid arthritis. And I dealt with joint and health issues pretty much my entire life. I had some issues with my knee when I was growing up. I had to wear a knee brace when I was in school. I had to ask for accommodation to get an ice pack. But then as an adult, when I started working, I am now under the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so the Americans with Disabilities Act really is for people who have to be self advocates for themselves, to speak up for themselves, and to be strong in self determination. And so one of the areas that I need like an accommodation for is using the elevator instead of the stairs. And so when I go to hotels, I have to speak up and I ask for a hotel room on the first floor if they don't have an elevator. And that's kind of embarrassing sometimes, and it's been hard. So I've had to learn that, hey, that's okay. You have to use a different route of travel in order for you to be more comfortable and not to cause any more pain to yourself. When I was working, I had to ask for an accommodation. I had to have my doctor write a letter, accommodation for me to sit down and draw blood when I drew something called blood cultures. Blood cultures take a little bit more time to draw, and you have to make sure that they are sterile and that there is no contamination. And when you're somebody who is dealing with pain or somebody who is struggling with maneuvering items like needles and things like that, it is easy to cause contamination. And blood cultures are very important to make sure there is no contamination. So I needed every accommodation available to make sure I could do that job to the best of my ability without causing any contamination. And me being able to sit down while I did that blood draw helped me to be more alert, less fatigued, and be able to complete that blood draw. Excuse me, be able to complete that blood draw professionally and correctly and get that patient the most accurate results. And so self determination helps students with disabilities to take part in their learning and future planning, building confidence and lifelong skills that extend far beyond the classroom. So we have some legislation here in Florida for transition, and we will look at that. In Florida, students must be invited to attend their IEP meeting once they turn 12. This gives them an early chance to listen, share, and understand how decisions are made. Even if a student only wants to say a short sentence about what helps them learn, this is a strong beginning. Early involvement teaches students that their voice matters and that they are important to be part of the team. By starting this process sooner, schools can help students learn how to talk about their needs and take small steps toward being more independent in their education. And I really like this. We don't have to give them a whole mouthful to say, they can say one simple sentence. I really like when I can do my assignment on the tablet. Or it makes it easier for me if I can take my test into another room. Or it makes it easier for me when I can do my math work with pieces of foam instead of the blocks. The blocks, I don't like how they feel on my hand. The foam feels better. Little things like that. And so you see here on the slide early invitation, earlier planning, and student goals. Your child can create goals with you. Involve them in their education as they are transitioning, and you will find that it will be a great help. What happens in IEP meetings now? I'm sorry, I tongue tied that. Let's say it again. What happens in IEP meetings now? So, this is important. Our IEP meetings in middle school look a little different than they did in elementary school. Students may share what they enjoy, what challenges them, and what supports that work best for them. Families and school staff work together to make decisions based on this information. Students might also practice making choices or explaining what they need. Even if a student speaks only a few words, their participation shows and, excuse me, I got that tongue tied again. Their participation shows respect and helps them grow. Over time, these meetings become a safe space where students can learn how to express themselves more clearly. Working as a team. When families and school staff communicate regularly, students benefit the most. Open communication helps everyone understand what is working and what needs to be adjusted. Families can share helpful routines or strategies used at home, while teachers can share what they see during the school day. When problems come up, it helps to focus on solutions instead of the blame. Working together as a team builds trust, reduces stress, and helps the student stay supported through every part of the transition. And remember what I did at the beginning of the presentation, this collaboration, collaborating with schools and agencies. We are on a team. We all have our opinions about what we think may work best for the child and for the student, and that's okay because everyone's opinion is valid. But remember, we're trying to come together and do what is best for that child. So we have to be willing to give and take. Navigating new schedules. We see a hallway right here, and students having to navigate the hallway. This young child is in a wheelchair. Think about how they may have to navigate the hallways and navigate where there's an elevator, navigate the ramps for them to go up and down. Middle school schedules can be tricky at first. Students switch classes several times each day, and the hallways feel crowded or loud. This can be very scary for some of our children living with disabilities. Support staff may meet them in different classrooms depending on the time of the day. Therapy sessions or resource services might also happen at different times. Because of all of these moving pieces, organization becomes very important. Practicing the schedule ahead of time, using color coded binders, or walking the school building before classes start can make the new routine feel much easier. Think about a time you were lost as an adult. Were you afraid? Now, not all the time would you be afraid, but think about when you were lost as an adult and you just could not find your way. Did you start to get afraid? Maybe you were driving. Maybe it was dark. Maybe it was a lot of traffic. Maybe you were trying to avoid an accident. Or maybe you were going over a long bridge and you're like, oh, in my spirit, I don't feel like this is the right way. Maybe you were running low on gas. So think about a child who's living with a disability and they're at this new school and they're in these hallways and they're lost. They can't find homeroom or they can't find math or they can't find their resource room. That can be very scary for them. So that's why it's important to plan early by doing things like going and walking the halls. How therapies can change in middle school. As students grow, their therapy services often shift to match their new environment. Instead of only working one on one, students may join group sessions to practice skills with peers. Some therapists may meet them directly in the classroom where they can work on real tasks in real situations. This helps students use their skills right where they need them, such as following instructions, joining group work, or staying focused. The overall goal is to help students take more responsibility while still receiving the support they need. And this is good. Giving children more responsibility over time helps them to become more independent and to be able to be a cheerleader and champion for themselves. And it can be hard for parents because parents want to protect their children. They don't want them to have to experience pain. But I know as somebody who was a child, I am glad that my parents gave me responsibility because I have learned early, or I had learned early, to be a cheerleader for myself and to speak up and to say what I needed, even if I was a little bit fearful, like when I go to the hotels and I ask for a hotel room on the first floor. Speech and language therapy is one of the very common therapies that students living with disabilities will have. In middle school, speech therapy focuses on communication that supports both learning and social growth. Social growth is very, very key. It is a huge part of a child's education that often gets missed. Students may practice how to understand group discussions, ask questions in class, or explain their thoughts clearly. They may also work on social communication, like how to start a conversation or how to stay on topic. Very important. I'm sure if you've been with a group of adults, there's that one or two adults that get completely off topic into a whole nother world of conversation. And if you're the person leading the conversation, you got to say, okay, come on back. We're talking about this. It's an important skill to learn at a young age. These skills help them feel more comfortable in the classroom and make it easier to build friendships. Sessions may happen in small groups or inside of the classroom during regular lessons to give students real opportunities to practice. Occupational therapy, OT. Occupational therapy helps students manage daily school routines. This might include organizing their materials, writing in a clear way, taking notes, or using tools that help them complete work. Therapists may teach students how to break tasks into smaller steps or how to set reminders for themselves. Students also learn how to use charts, planners, or digital tools to keep track of homework. The goal is to help students handle middle school tasks with more confidence and independence over time. I am somebody who is a true advocate for planners. I have a digital planner, my calendar on my phone, and then I have my hard copy. I have my hard copy calendar and notes that I can take. And I always have to make sure that with all of the responsibilities I have, they both coincide with one another. And I will have to do that for the beginning of each week. But I like to have that old school hard copy. And then I like to have the digital because here at Family Network on Disabilities, we do a lot of things digitally. And we do a lot of meetings that are scheduled digitally. And we do a lot of Zoom meetings and things of that nature. So I have to make sure that I get notifications. But then also, I have to look at it against any doctor's appointments that I have and other responsibilities that I may have. Behavioral and counseling supports. These look different as well. Middle school can bring a world of emotions and new pressures. Middle school was the most difficult season of my life. And it was a lot of the social where I really struggled. I really had a hard time. And I did have to have some counseling services to help me through that difficult season. And that is okay. But think about our children who are living with disability. I did not have a said disability. I was a mainstream student, but I really struggled with the social emotional aspect of that. Counseling services can help students learn ways to handle stress, calm down when they feel overwhelmed, and solve problems with classmates. Students may learn how to recognize their emotions or talk about them in healthy ways. And research has shown us that many groups of children simply don't talk about their emotions or how they feel. They will self contain. And over time, self containing and dealing with emotions inwardly can have a negative effect on a child as they grow into a teenager and young adult and full adult. And so making sure your child has those supports at those transitions is going to be key. These supports help students build coping tools they can use in different situations. School staff often work together to make sure the student uses the same strategies in class, on the playground, and at home. So, next, we want to discuss understanding service delivery. This is key because things change. There are several ways services can be delivered. Pull-out services happen when a student leaves the class to work in a quiet space with a therapist, speech, OT, sometimes even physical. Push-in services take place inside a regular classroom where the therapist supports the student during lessons. Consultation means the therapist gives teachers ideas and tools to support the student throughout the day. As teachers, we are elementary school teachers. I'm just speaking because I was an elementary school teacher. We go to university and do certifications to help us be a general teacher, but we may have students who need some extra supports. And so we may have that therapist come and consult us on the different services that this child needs or the different accommodations and modifications that they need. And that is an extra tool that can be very beneficial for teachers to be the best teacher they possibly can be. Each type of delivery can be helpful depending on what the student needs. Families can ask how the services will look and how often they will happen, and that is your right. And that is according to procedural safeguards. If you need a copy of the procedural safeguards, you should get one every year by the school, but we also can give you one here at F&D. Encouraging self-determination. Students grow when they learn to express their needs in simple, clear ways. Families can help by practicing phrases at home, such as, "Can you help me understand this?" Or, "I need more time to finish, please." Role playing school scenarios help students feel more comfortable speaking up during real situations. It also teaches them that their thoughts matter. And I will say that again. It also teaches them that their thoughts matter. And a student's thoughts do matter. A child's thoughts do matter. Over time and in uh, generations before, excuse me, there have been situations where it wasn't so much. A child was not thought to have valid thoughts and their feelings matter or even considered. And we cannot blame our past generations because once you know better, you do better. But we have to consider now things are changing and we have to understand not to think of our children as less because they're young. We have to let them know that your feelings matter. Your feelings are valid. And yes, you can share them. Don't not share them because you don't think that they're important or that someone doesn't care. Because somebody does care. There'll be that person out there who listens to them. Every time a student tries to express themselves, even in a small way, it deserves encouragement. Over time, these small steps help them become more confident learners. And as an adult teacher now of students, even they need the encouragement, even though they're adults, because they are in school learning a new skill. And so I actually have these little sheets I got off of Timu, and it says, "I'm proud of you." And then it gives me some options to check. And I give those out now to my adult students. And they have told me, "Miss Milner, this really encourages me. Thank you so much." And so that teaches them to be self determined, to speak up for themselves because I've given them that confidence. I say, "I'm proud of you for such and such." And they can come to me and say, "Miss Milner, I don't understand this." And I say, "Don't say you're sorry. Just say, 'Miss Milner, I don't understand this,' instead of saying, 'Miss Milner, I'm sorry, but I don't understand this.'" Because you don't have to be sorry. It's okay. My job is to teach you to understand it. And then when it comes to the social and emotional, you want to teach your child to be self determined and stand up for themselves and say, "I don't like the way that you're talking to me," if it's another peer. And you can teach them how to stand up for themselves without engaging in the situation and making the situation more difficult. But very simple phrases like, "I don't like how you're talking to me," or "I'm going to walk away now." Different things like that can really help the situation. And these are just tools that each generation that comes, we learn better. My parents were different in their generation, and then my generation, and then the generations that are coming behind me, we are just continually getting better. So now let's discuss building organization and routine. Middle school brings a whole set of new responsibilities, and staying organized can make students feel more in control. Simple tools like color coded folders, printed checklists, or digital reminders help keep track of assignments. It's normal for students to forget things at first, so families can support them by reviewing homework routines together. With steady practice, students begin to understand how to manage their own materials, track their own assignments, and plan ahead for projects. This is a skill they will use all the way through high school and beyond. And I really like this because there are consequences when we get our schedule and routine mixed up or incorrect. For example, as an adult, you may have doctor's appointments, and your doctor may charge a fee if you miss an appointment, or they may cancel your appointment if you're more than 15 minutes late. There's been times where I have gotten appointments confused. I've switched the times on the appointments because I shared with you all in previous webinars that I have dyscalculia, which is similar to dyslexia, but it's with numbers. And I easily will switch numbers around. And so I've gotten different appointments wrong, the timing wrong for it because I switched the one or the zero around. And then there's times when I've double booked myself as well for appointments. And so teaching your child at a young age how to make sure they manage their schedule and organize things can be helpful because when you get older, they may fine you 25 or $50 as a fee if you come to an appointment at the wrong time, or excuse me, not charge you a fee if you come to the appointment at the wrong time. If you miss the appointment altogether because you went to another appointment and you didn't realize that you had double booked yourself, or if you get your appointment canceled because you're more than 15 minutes late because you didn't give yourself enough time to get there. So, planning ahead. Supporting emotional growth. This is an area where I am very partial to because I struggled with social and emotional when I was in middle school. And I had wonderful parents who got me the therapy services that I needed. Adjusting to new routines can be emotional, and students may need understanding and expressing their feelings. Families can create a safe space for students to talk openly about what feels hard or confusing. Students can learn coping tools like taking deep breaths, counting to 10, or breaking tasks into smaller steps. Encouraging students to join clubs or group activities can help them also build friendships and feel more connected. Strong emotional skills support their confidence and help them handle challenges in healthy ways. Even encouraging them and helping them learn how to deal with anger and frustration. It's not good to contain those emotions. And based on your parenting style and based on your family, you can teach your child how to properly get rid of those negative emotions and anger. I know that my therapist encouraged me to scream in a pillow sometime or punch a pillow. So I got my anxiety and anger and frustration out, but in an acceptable and proper way. Partnering with the school. So when you partner with the school, this will help everyone stay informed and supported. Families can track progress using a communication log or simple notes. If something changes in the IEP or schedule, it is important to ask questions and make sure everyone understands the plan. Attending meetings helps build trust and keeps everyone aligned. When families and school staff work together, students feel valued and supported in every part of their school day. Celebrating growth. This is important. Children need to know when they're doing well. Adults need to know when they're doing well. That is part of human nature. So it is important to celebrate every step forward, no matter how small it may seem. Learning new routines, staying organized, or speaking up in class are all signs of progress. When families focus on effort instead of perfection, students feel more willing to try even when something is difficult. Celebrating growth builds pride, motivation, and confidence that carries through all of their school years. So, as a teacher of adults, I encourage being loud and proud of mistakes because mistakes happen. Even the best phlebotomist will make mistakes. Even the best parent can make mistakes. Even the best student can make mistakes. And that's okay because we use those as learning opportunities. I can't remember where I heard this, but I think it was a quote, and somebody said, I never lose, I always win. And if I don't win, I learn something. So I either always win or I learn something. and that might work for you. But you want to make sure that you celebrate your child's growth and celebrate the small things. Last week was our first week of class with my phlebotomy class. And one of my students came to me after class and said, Miss Milner, I wanted to let you know about a scheduling conflict that I had. Now, this scheduling conflict wasn't going to occur until July. But at the beginning of class, when I was going over the syllabus, I was talking to them about the importance of making your schedule and the importance of being in class because the program is only 12 weeks. I felt so happy that she listened and she came to me and she was proactive about making her schedule. And I celebrated her. I gave her one of those I'm proud of yous. And it was a other that I checked that box and then I wrote, thank you. And I'm proud of you for telling me that you needed to make a change to the schedule and you had a conflict ahead of time. I really like you being proactive. So little things like that. Celebrating growth, like I said, will build pride, motivation, and confidence. I like that. Pride, motivation, and confidence. Not necessarily ego, but pride, being encouraged by yourself or because of yourself. And then success is a team effort. The move to middle school is a shared journey, and no one has to navigate it alone. Now we have so many resources that past generations did not have, even just 20 years ago. I've been out of high school a little more than 20 years. I've been out of middle school way more than 20 years. And you definitely can have more resources now than we had just a short time ago. So that is what we are here for at F&D, to get you resources. If we don't have the resource, we will find the agency that has it. Middle school is a time of growth, discovery, and new challenges. By working together and taking things step by step, we can help students grow confident and to be strong learners and resilient learners who are ready for the future. So this brings us to the end of our presentation. I really hope that you enjoy this presentation. It is very special to me because, as I shared, middle school was a difficult season for me and I did have to have some therapy helps. But I can say that I am a healed and mature adult, and I've been able to overcome some of those social and emotional issues that I had when I was younger. And I can definitely speak on the fact of having parents who saw that I had a challenge and that I needed the intervention. I had a teacher who saw that I had a challenge and needed the intervention. She called my parents and she thought I would be mad at her, but I'm so thankful that she did. So, as I said, this is why this presentation is very, very special to me. And before we leave, I want to share with you our family here at Family Network on Disabilities. So these are the extended parts of our family, the arms and legs. So we have three PTIs, Parent Training and Information Centers. We have Poppin, which is my area, known as Parents Offering Parents Information and Networking. And we work on the North Florida Panhandle part of the state. I have 11 counties from Escambia County all the way through Bay County, Calhoun. I also have Gulf and I have Franklin County. Then we have PSN. PSN is going to be the central and southwest side of the state. And then Penn is going to be the central and southeast side of the state. And then we have our Family Star program, which is focusing on the medical side of disability and giving families those supports that they need. And then we have our F&D Trust. I encourage you, if you are someone who has not discussed trust services, please reach out to us because you never know what will happen. And you want to make sure your child living with that disability, or even if they don't have a disability, that financial things are taken care of, as well as guardianship. We can give you information on that. If you know that you're going to need guardianship, you want to start that process early. You don't want to wait till the child is 16 or 17 because for some people it can be a lengthy process. And then we have our parent to parent. Our parent to parent is a wonderful extension of F&D where we bring in families and parents who have kind of mastered the system of special education and they can help other parents. It's a volunteer position. And if you are interested in being a part of parent to parent, again, you can reach out to us and we can get you that information. We also have our social media, very active on Instagram, very active on Facebook. We have our website and YouTube as well. I have my own YouTube channel where I post these webinars. If you are interested in watching other webinars before we post them on Facebook, you can go and search my name and Family Network on Disabilities, and you can watch some of the webinars. We have live webinars that we do ourselves, and then we have some of our AI webinars as well. So thank you again for coming to this presentation. You have the QR code that is next to me on the screen that will that will connect you with me, not contact you with me. I will contact you. And then you have the QR code that will take you to our Google page to leave us a review. The more positive reviews we get, and even the constructive criticism, the more families that we can help. So I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I look forward to being back with another presentation in just a couple of days. Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.